Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Expert Corner segment. I'm with Neil Townsend, Chief Market Analyst with FarmLink Marketing Solutions and GrainFox. Thank you for joining us, Neil. How are you?
I'm doing well, Tracy. How are you?
I'm doing fine and dandy. So there's been a lot of buzz around GrainFox lately, and I also hear GrainFox has an exciting event coming up in October. I am super thrilled to chat.
Yeah, you're right. There has been a lot of buzz about GrainFox this year. We've launched some powerful farm financial tools to complement the unbiased advice and expert market analysis we've been known for. I've been with FarmLink GrainFox for about 6 years now, leading the analytical team to help producers reach their financial goals. I've spent my entire career doing one thing, and that's communicating with farmers on marketing conditions and price expectations. And that's part of the reason I'm so excited about GrainFox. It's a tool that the market has been waiting for, and it's grown so much in 2022, and we continue to add more value for producers. We're also excited to be launching our annual market harvest event, From Bin to Bank, Harvest Market Insights from the Experts. We've been busy.
Right on.
This event will be moderated by Karen Braun of Thomson Reuters. It's going to include a roundtable discussion featuring, 5 other panelists from various ag sectors. We're going to answer questions, provide market analysis and commentary, deliver insights on current events and their effect on the ag industry. A lot is going on right now in the ag industry. So, having different voices to talk about it and different perspectives. We're very, very happy to have various people join us for that. And also, I will mention that the USDA WASDE report is released the day before the event. So, that's going to provide that October 13th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time for the event. That's going to provide, basically at the moment insights from, experts on what this means for farmers for 22-23.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to say something, and I think it's going to be a dramatic understatement. It has been quite the year. I just want to sit here and laugh. I mean, all farmers are probably just trying to wrap their mind around everything going on. So I'm curious, at the event, are you going to have presenters on the panel discussing a lot of the main factors that are going on right now around the world?
Yeah, exactly, Tracy. I think when I started in this business, and my forte is fundamentals. That means reading a supply and demand balance sheet and kind of, basically making conclusions from there. If stocks look tight, that usually indicated that prices were going to rise through the year. If ending stocks looked a little bit looser, prices were going to decline through the year. A lot has changed now. I think, geopolitics and macroeconomics have always mattered, but they really matter right now. We have a war between, 2 of the largest agricultural exporters in the world, Russia and Ukraine. We don't have that very often. So what we've had to do at GrainFox and FarmLink is expand the network of opinions, expand the network of people who are contributing to what we're trying to do. And we're going to bring some of those people into the discussion we're going to have on the 13th. So, leading the charge is Jacob Shapiro. He's one of our leading geopolitical analysts. He's been writing something for GrainFox for almost a year now. And he's going to bring keen insight on geopolitics. We also have a young man coming from Florida named Nathan Carson. And he's in the fertilizer industry. He's going to be able to talk about, input costs and where they might go and how they're being impacted by different things. We also have Ranulph Glanville from DePutter in Ontario, and he's sort of a leading expert in, sort of like interest rates and inflation and what the governments are doing and how that's going to impact, one of the most important variables in farming today in Western Canada. That's the value of the Canadian dollar vis-a-vis the US dollar. And, for some elder statesmen, we also have John DePutter himself. He's going to come and speak, and we're really excited to have him. He's been through a lot of the different cycles in agriculture, ups and downs and all arounds. And he has a certain methodology to discuss and talk about that. He also has keen insights into some of the smaller crops that we deal with in Western Canada. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We're going to have a wide range of coverage. And finally, I just want to say that somebody that I've had a lot of experience with, Karen Braun, who's going to be sort of the moderator, but also panelist in this format that we've chosen. She's worked at Thomson Reuters for several years now. I've been lucky enough to travel with her to Ukraine, and we've been in many of the regions that you see in the news right now looking at crops. And we went there probably 3 or 4 times. So it's going to be a great event.
Fantastic. Neil, that sounds exciting, informative, and much needed. Can you share a little bit more about what producers can expect from the event?
Yeah, we wanted to kind of, shake things up a little bit and make it less dry. And we want a dynamic event because the world is a dynamic place with a lot of stuff happening. And we only have 90 minutes. We want to cover as many topics as possible, obviously giving, more attention to the most important ones. But this isn't going to be your average webinar with just PowerPoint presentations and a presenter talking at you for 90 minutes. We're going to present a dynamic, interactive roundtable discussion amongst experts that includes rapid fire questions, ample chances for you, the viewer, to add in your questions. So a Q&A from the audience and so much more. It's going to be fast-paced, interactive, and most importantly, informative. I don't want to give too much away, but for anyone looking to sell their grain this harvest, this is an event that you really don't want to miss. The experts on our panel, as I've mentioned previously, come from multiple ag sectors. And like I mentioned, they're going to discuss, things like the October WASD in detail from the USDA, as well as the overall harvest season and market conditions, and give you lots of outlooks. And these outlooks are going to include geopolitics, what's happening with, are there any weather stories that are going on? There'll be a bit of focus on the South American crop. How much are inputs going to cost come, the next marketing year, and other factors, the government policies, those kinds of things that are influencing the ag markets. Like our annual preceding event, there will be a special in-depth report available exclusively on GrainFox. So if you are one of those people who want to look at the supply and demand balance, go through it in detail, we're going to provide you a copy of that exclusively on GrainFox, as I mentioned. And everything that we discuss in the event is going to be made available for you. And we want to be very interactive. We're inviting people to send questions beforehand. There's going to be several opportunities for the audience to jump in and ask their questions. We also want to be very inclusive. And by that, I mean, give some attention to some of the crops that are very important for particular farmers, but aren't necessarily the ones that usually headline a webinar. So the format that we've chosen gives some time to talk about some of your smaller crops like green peas or chickpeas or whatever else. They're important crops, but they just occupy less acreage in Western Canada.
Fantastic. I don't know about you. I know you're talking to farmers all the time across Canada. Same with me. I'm a farmer. But correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like the world gets more and more complicated. Decisions get bigger and bigger. And I find producers are looking for somebody with information like this, right? Somebody they can talk to, learn from. There's so much coming at them, right?
Yeah, exactly, Tracy. I mean, the way I would characterize it is that we're living in an environment where uncertainty is elevated and volatility is amplified. And the problem is that one of the fallback modes that people can go into when they're dealing with those levels of uncertainty and volatility is to have inertia. And that means I don't know what to do. And we're trying to take the guesswork out of the game. I mean, nobody has an absolute crystal ball going forward, but you want to listen to people who maybe have some insight into it and build a strategy around your marketing plan going forward. And inertia can be positive only if it's an actual strategy, that you're not doing anything because you feel that there's an advantage to waiting and that you have data to back that up. And that's what we're going to try and deliver in the webinar on October 13th is strategic ideas around most of the crops that Western Canadians deal with. And, also some insights into the bigger aspects that are moving our world right now: macroeconomics, concerns about inflation, geopolitics, the war, other issues like what's going on in China, all of these things. We're going to try and cover those, give you some insight, and have a little bit of debate so that it's not all the same opinion. There might be some differences. And then also after the webinar, we'll make the webinar itself available for you if you want to rewatch it. And also you'll have the more in-depth paper that will have some content that can, if you want to do some follow-up reading on it, you'll be able to see it. And when I say something about the ending stocks, you'll be able to see it in print later on as well.
Love it. You know what? I love having you guys on the show because this is the type of support farmers need. And to me, you hit the nail on the head with the freeze. I'm a business owner here with Farm Marketer and our media company and a farmer. And the last 2 years, I'm usually used to taking bold action and being confident. But there is so much I have found myself at different parts of my business freezing up. And actually, some of the things that have helped me most was tapping into different professionals' webinars and just getting that second opinion and just kind of grounding yourself with some good knowledge. So I'm so happy you said that because psychology is such a big part of business, right? And if we freeze, might not be a good strategy unless it's planned, like you said. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think life is about risk and opportunity. And I mean, when you're looking at marketing, again, comes down to dollars and cents perhaps, but it is risk and opportunity. And I think what we've found in our industry and in FarmLink alone is that, you have to kind of broaden the circle of people that you're talking to. And in order able to make informed decisions means gathering information. And because there's so many other aspects really dominating the markets right now, we found those informed people to come in so that we can make a better assessment about whether or not there's more risk or more opportunity, depending on, the time frame we're looking at.
Love it. This sounds like a fantastic event. If somebody is watching and they want to sign up, how can they do so?
Well, it starts by visiting farmlinksolutions.ca from bin to bank. So it's farmlink.ca, farmlinksolutions.ca / from bin to bank /. You can type in FarmLink Solutions and probably get to the web page and find the webinar there. We only have a limited number of spots available, so it's a good idea to register early and save your seat. And also, again, I encourage people, if they have questions, to send them in earlier, and we'll certainly consider those questions. I think it's going to be a lively discussion, and I'd really like to see as many people out there as possible. Once again, that's www.farmlinksolutions.ca / from bin to bank /.
Excellent. And we will put those links in the show notes. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast platforms, go to Farm Marketer, go to the show page, and then that'll all be there and you can click right over and register.
Yeah, and I'll add just one other thing. The event, just to reiterate, is on October 13th, 2022. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be via Zoom. So if you're interested in getting access to the harvest report, which I've mentioned several times, the longer, more in-depth piece, you can sign up for a 3-month free trial through the same link, farmlinksolutions.ca from bin to bank.
Excellent. Thanks, Neil. Okay, so I am excited for the event. Thank you for sharing all that information. Before you go, I want to tap your knowledge here. There's people listening and they go, okay, I was hoping to get some information today because we all want info now. They can sign up for the event, but can I tap your brain for a quick few minute summary of what's going on in the market, what's going on in the markets right now? Do you mind?
Not at all, Tracy. There's really two parallel things happening in the market right now. There's sort of what, a guy like myself would prefer to deal with, and that's the fundamentals. So the fundamentals are just, sort of looking at supply and demand, what's going on there. And, last year in Western Canada, we had an extreme drought. So we came into this year with sort of, smaller piles of stuff left over, right? This year we've grown a good crop, not necessarily a knock your socks off crop, but a better crop. And so, the supply is a little bit more assured. And now we have a lot of question marks on demand. Where's demand going to be? And one of the main countries that we're sort of watching from a Canadian perspective, which is critically important, is China. China has some issues. They have issues with, they're still dealing with zero tolerance policy with regards to COVID. They also are suffering from some of the macroeconomic problems that, the rest of the world's dealing with, sort of a hangover from all the largesse of the COVID, pandemic, when money was sort of papered around the world. So we have a little suspicion about, demand right now. So that's something that has to be shaken out. And again, if there's more demand that emerges, the so-called incremental demand, then we start to tighten up our stocks a little bit more, and that should be more favorable for prices. The second thing is something that, farmers have decidedly less control over, and that's sort of the macroeconomic situation writ large, which is also influenced by the geopolitical situation involving the war with Russia and Ukraine and all the sort of sanctions and retaliations and different things going on. And inflation is a very, very real thing. So as much as we want to be positive about the marketplace, we do have concerns about an environment where the US dollar will be the highest we've seen in, say, several years, where people are concerned about the price of food and people are cutting back. Like, not everybody behaves like a Canadian or an American. When we see prices rise for one item, we seek out a cheaper item. We try to still eat the same amount of calories. We just divert it to different things. And I mean, of course, that can have an impact on demand as well. But in other places, what's been observed in periods of time where we do have these prices going higher and, people struggling with food security because of their income, people will actually eat less calories in places like South Asia, like India or Pakistan, which is experiencing a really, really terrible flood at the moment. And what does that imply for world demand going forward? So there's a lot of questions and a lot of issues. And of course, we're just starting the marketing year. We've been in it for a bit, but October is early in the marketing year, still in the first third of the marketing year. And, demand often takes a while to unfold to see what's going to happen. But of course, the world isn't static. Come Christmas time, we'll be also talking a lot about, how's Argentina, how's Brazil, how's Australia doing with their crops. So, again, we're going to have a lot more insight about this when we get to the webinar on October 13th at 10 a.m. on Zoom. And again, I encourage all the viewers to sign up and participate in that. And please, ask questions and tell us what you think.
I love it. Neil, you're such a wealth of information. Just all the things you were listing. I'm like, oh, right. Didn't think of that. So anybody in the market, they'll want to sign up for the webinar. Absolutely. Neil, I don't know if you have anything else to add. If not, I just want to thank you for your time and the work that you guys do over there at FarmLink and GrainFox. Very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
My pleasure, as always. And you in the audience, make sure to sign up. Like I said, it's going to be included on the show page. Don't miss that event. And I just want to thank you for tuning in and see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.